Ladies and gentlemen, Walter presents That's No Lady, That's Darcelle 15 and Company.
Hooray! Hooray! Hooray!
Ladies and gentlemen, direct from Darcelle 15 in Portland, Oregon, your host, or rather your hostess, Darcelle.
All right. Hello. Good evening. Good evening. Welcome. Welcome to Darcelle 15 and Company. Thank you very much. What a nice night. I have such a panel tonight. I can hardly wait. Every one of these ladies I know, well, we'll talk about that later, okay. What I'd like to introduce to you right now is my guest for this evening. Would you welcome, please, Jenny right over here, ladies and gentlemen, from the Downtown Movers and Doers.
Good evening.
And Susan Stanley from This Week magazine and many other magazines around the world. And Oregonian columnist Margie Boule. Good evening.
Good evening, Darcelle.
This is wonderful. Never. Look at the talent on this stage right now. Look at this. Look at this. Now, no, you're looking around at the flowers? Okay. Now, I've got to find out because there has to be something before you start to write. I mean, writing to me would not work because I could not get up in the morning and say, I'm going to write a column today and have it happen. How do you do this? How do you do this, Jenny? What do you do?
Well, there's so much to write about. I mean, you would do that.
I would do that?
Absolutely.
But you got to be disciplined. Susan, do you have to be disciplined?
I don't think of it as discipline per se, but the magic of the deadline. That you will be in big trouble if you don't do it today.
Like paychecks.
Yeah, paychecks and humiliation. You know that you've said
which is worth, Margie, the paycheck or the humiliation?
Somehow I always know that there will not be 17.3 inches of blank space Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings. I just know that somehow I will get it done and something will be in there, good or bad.
But it'll be there.
But it'll be there. I don't worry about not being able to write it.
Okay, were you before, we all know that Margie was a TV celebrity for what, 10 years?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
okay.
10 years and a month.
10 years. Were you a newspaper woman or a columnist before that? Or?
No, this is brand new for me.
This is new for you?
Mm-hmm. Brand new. Can't you tell?
No, not really. We read her column. I thought you'd been doing this forever and ever.
No.
But did on television when you were you always an anchor woman or were you?
I was never an anchor woman.
Oh, is my terminology wrong?
But I was always a talk show host.
Talk show host.
I also was a producer and had various capacities.
Did you ever have to go to a fire and say there are 17 ladders going up the side of the building and be a reporter that way?
No, the closest I ever came was going down a pole in a firehouse.
I once went up a pole in a firehouse. Oh, please, a family operation here. Susan. That was wonderful. Thank you. Keep lines.
Hey, I'll be your straight woman anytime, Darcelle.
Oh, it's not what you think.
They got it. This is a very quick audience.
They're sharp.
Oh, you always have a good audience. Susan,
yes.
How long have you been writing?
Since I can remember.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, you've always written. You've always wanted to be a writer?
I think some people are kind of born observers. I've always kind of picked up what was going on around me, and when I was like in the third grade, it was show and tell. The other kids would be tap dancing and playing the piano, and I'd be giving them the latest chapter in a murder mystery that bore a suspicious resemblance to Nancy Drew, you know. So it was, I've always kind of done that.
So it's a kind of natural thing for you.
Yeah.
And it's been your career for how long?
Well,
how long have you made money?
I don't know. It's a career. It's what I do. It's how I earn money.
Well, that's what a career means, isn't it?
Well, I guess so.
How long have you been doing that?
I started working on a newspaper when I was 19, when I was in college, and I did that for a couple of years until I graduated, and then moved out here in 1965, and I freelanced for the Oregonian for a while, and eventually did one thing or another and ended up being the entertainment editor at the Journal for a couple of years, and then started writing for magazines. So I don't feel like I have a job. You know?
I know, because you're completely different.
But there's
you don't
something.
have a deadline.
Well, I have
Until you make
deadlines.
your
No,
deadlines.
I have deadlines all the time,
Do
which
you?
is a little nerve-wracking. You know, I might have 5 different kinds of deadlines during a week.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I might also go 2 weeks and not do any writing at all. Then I realize that something was bubbling in the back burner anyway.
like
you know,
that. It's
I
like
sit down.
that.
Somebody says, you know, like Jack Hart at Northwest Magazine will call and say, "Do you have any essays?" And I go, "No." And he says, "Well, you know, think of something." Then I'll sit down, and it'll turn out that 3 or 4 things that happened actually were connected in some way. And it gives me a nice way to kind of boil down what's going on in my life.
I have been a fan of Susan's for years,
know.
by the way.
I love the way
I
she writes.
clipped out, I have always loved her essays, but I met Susan just about a month ago and had an opportunity to tell her that one of her essays had been on my bulletin board for years.
Isn't that flattering?
Isn't that wonderful?
But do you think about that?
Well-
Do you think about people clipping an article you've written or an essay and saving it for years?
No, you don't really. You think that you're writing for your 7 friends and your mother, you know? And then when I talked to somebody on the phone the other day who I'd never met, and she said, "Was there really an Inez who was a character I made up in the column that I wrote for the Journal for 4 years?" And I said, "No, there wasn't." She said, "Well, I've thought about her for years, and it's very odd. It's sort of like somebody's been watching you, you know, all along." Incidentally, I'm a great fan of Margie's. I've always enjoyed her on television, and when she started a column, I mean, there's quite a little community of writers in Portland, you know. And when she started writing a column, I think maybe people were wondering how she was going to do, and we were all floored by her first column. I mean, it was so good immediately. It makes me kind of sick,
How
you
many
know.
words does it take to fill that page there?
I don't go by words, I go by inches. 17.3 inches.
Here we go. So do I.
You have 17.3 inches. What? What is this?
It's going to be a column tomorrow, right? Jenny does a kind of gossipy, but not gossipy. Your column in the Movers and Doers is informative. It's things that happen, and I've been in there a lot of times. Thank you.
My pleasure. It's not gossipy. I mean, you know,
I know.
I have a lot to be humble about, and I wouldn't want to put things down that other people did. Anyway, they very often marry them, and then you're in a lot of trouble. So you can't do that.
Oh, well, I know it's not gossip, and I asked you once, I said, how do you know? Because she's everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, we were pumping up the hand cars for the hand car race on the rail tracks the other day, and there she was taking pictures.
Yeah.
And so, how do you know about these things?
People write to me. They say, you know, I have a whole list of stuff that goes on, and for most times there are too many things to pick from. And then you'll get dearth times when I'm calling people to say, "Is anybody having a birthday?" I mean, literally nothing seems to be happening, especially that period between Christmas and New Year's, and I mean, it's scrounge time. But usually my material's already given to me. I just have to go and do it.
But she does everything.
Yeah.
I mean, she takes the
everything.
pictures and
She
gets
does-
the
she takes
names. And
very good pictures, by the way. Very flattering. No chins. She does wonderful. She does wonderful. Susan wrote an article I was on the cover of This Week magazine. It was the photographers did a beautiful job. It was a split cover. Maybe you remember. Notice they didn't applaud. I've got a copy of it. I'll let you read it. Several thousand copies.
send him out with your Christmas card.
Susan brought me the rough draft about a week before it went into print. And I read the first 3, I can't even talk about it now.
Paragraphs, words.
The 3 paragraphs. But I just can't talk about it, Susan,
Sounds like.
because the article touched home to me so much that it was so special, and you hit right into my emotions, and right now I can't hardly talk about it. But that's the kind of writing.
Darcelle's been a really special person in my life for years and years and years. I mean, the first time I walked into here, it was to look for graffiti. And believe me, if there were graffiti here, it would be pretty weird. Unfortunately, that was in his flocked wallpaper stage, so it wasn't anything. But I thought it looked like such an interesting place to visit, you know. And so I came back and I figured this would be a good place to write an article about. So I wrote an article that was in Willamette Week, and then eventually I wrote some stuff that was in the Journal. And then, since I do quite a few of the covers for this week, I suggested that we do a story about Darcelle that hadn't been done before, which is the really neat, nice things that she does in the community to raise money, to throws a big turkey dinner on Christmas Eve for the people here.
Enough.
Anyway, that seemed like a real good idea to do that story, and it was a pleasure to do.
It was wonderful, and I still haven't finished the article. Does that make sense to you? No, not big words. I just can't. The other words were too big for me. I still
anyway.
Trust me, I haven't read the article. I haven't finished the article. And Margie, as long as we're doing some things, Margie did a show, an expose on us one time.
Oh, I did. That's right. I did a piece on you for the old Sunday morning program.
Yes, the very old Sunday. What did it last? About 3 weeks after my episode.
But if you'll remember,
you won an award for it.
I closed that piece by in a three-piece suit.
Yes.
And I actually, it's been many years. It's 9 years.
I remember what you said.
I was tying a tie as I did my stand-up at the close, and I asked you to teach me how to tie a tie, and you couldn't do it.
I couldn't teach you how to tie the tie either. But I can zip a dress real quick. But you know what happened, Margie, is you stood out front and said, I asked Darcelle about having women in the show, dressed as men, and Darcelle said, oh no, that would be too boring. They're going to attack right now, you see, already my audience is, but it's not true, it wasn't it? And you won an award for that series.
I can't remember, it was a long time ago.
Oh, look on your wall, it's there, the plaque. You called me and told me, Newspaper Lady Award or something, wonderful.
It did win something, I just don't remember quite what it was.
What do you do with all the pictures you take besides send me mine? She sends me mine all the time because she knows I collect them to put on the wall. But what do you must have files full of people in party dresses. Oh, by the way, did I tell you, the stock market is a real problem. Did you notice that? This is for your column. You know what's happening? It's so bad. You know what they're doing? They're starting croissant lines at Lake Oswego. I'm sorry.
It's good.
I thought it was good.
No, what I do with them is I throw them in the bin.
In the bin?
In the garbage bin.
Oh, because... Where are you from?
England.
Are you from England?
Yeah.
Where are you from, Susan, originally?
Well, I was born in Ohio and raised in Nebraska.
And you're on the East Coast.
Pretty exotic.
West Coast now.
Yeah.
Where are you from?
My family moved 18 times when I was growing up.
You were in the service?
Seems like such an easy question, but it's tough to say where you're from. No, my dad was just working his way up the corporate ladder, and then he became a big executive, and we stayed in L.A. all through high school. Claremont, California is where I went to high school.
Have you worked on a newspaper other than the Downtowner?
No, but I ever since I found out that pencil on paper made words and pictures, I've done that.
Jenny was a ballet dancer, did you know that?
No, I didn't know
in London?
that.
Well, when my thighs were...
And we're not going to start talking about thighs on this
Please.
stage.
Have mercy.
Yes.
I have a smaller waist.
Up, Susan.
I have a smaller waist than you, but I have a feeling you have better legs.
I knew I'd love this show. Now, then you've been writing and taking pictures for years and years. Being paid for it, is the Downtowner your first job to being paid for it?
If you can call it being paid, yes.
Maggie White.
Where are you, darling?
Oh, now you must. You did a wonderful new article about celebrities and their pets, and thank you very much. My Willie is still very pleased.
Well, I'm sure. No, I would actually do it if I wasn't paid. I mean, Maggie is not listening to this.
I think so, too.
I would really love it.
I wouldn't.
I would.
This pays the bills. It's a real job.
I know it's got to be a real job, and that's what I started out this conversation with. It's the same kind of thing. It's like, I don't know, writing a novel. You going to write a novel? You writing a novel?
Who has time to write novels?
I'm asking.
I don't have time to write my checks for bills.
Well, I don't have that time either. But nobody makes time for that. You writing a novel? someday?
No,
Besides my
no.
story?
I have 2 book proposals that I'm working on, but they're both nonfiction. The only novel that I've ever started, and this is the God's truth, is a murder mystery called Murder in Drag, set guess where? Never mind who we bump off.
Never mind who we bump off or who did it. Never mind. It'll be a whole series or something.
I have 5 very bad chapters written. But that doesn't pay the bills.
Did you write it?
Yeah, I did.
And did it get published?
Yes, I was in high school.
And is it in hardback or in
It's in
pocket
no
book?
back anymore. It's
out of
Mother and I
print.
have the only copies ever.
Have you read it since and said, oh, wait, what
It
did I do?
is so painful. I sweat all over when I read it. Oh, why did I put my real name on it?
You know, it's like every now and then someone has the nerve to bring early pictures of Darcelle to my attention. And then it's the last friend, I never see them again. I mean, the people that bring them in.
That's because no one ever sees them again.
No, you know what else happens? You know what else happens is, as you know, we do birthday tapes at the end of our show. In fact, you have
Yeah, I
a
have
couple,
one.
and you have a couple, and you have a couple. And one time I went to a dinner party, and I never hear those tapes again, ever. Hopefully, I would never hear them again. And someone was playing one, so we walked into the dinner party, and it was Most We Left. We didn't stay. You've never heard the tapes, have you? You ever play your tape?
I played it one time.
Oh, hon, and you had to get a new system. I have to get back. Where are you going? What's going to happen? Are you going to stay? I mean, you don't have to say, no, I'm going to leave the downtown, or so they find somebody else to do the movers and doers, but is Portland going to be your home, and are you going to stay and you're going to do your...
Well, I'm like one of these revolting, converted religious people. You see, I came to Oregon and I fell in love with Portland, and I go around waving banners, and this is my Portland. And, I can't imagine living anywhere else. I mean, I'd be quite happy to die here a lot of years from now.
Of course.
Yeah.
Bigger and better columns. I mean, not bigger and better columns, but bigger and better, different bylines and different story titles and...
I don't think the paper would stretch to that. I mean, I love what I do, but it's limited. It's very limited. But I'm in the middle of a novel, which my agent keeps screaming at me to finish.
All
and
right.
I have some other things out that I freelance and things. So.
You freelance, I'll bet you do.
I certainly do, darling.
Well, Susan.
Yes. I live here. You know, I've been here for
It's your
22
home, your
years.
children.
It's my home. The man I love is here. You know, my kids grew up here. They're all off at. Oh, he's back by the bar.
But you also.
But,
what about
Does he have a
if
brother?
someone called and said, "Okay, we want you to work for the New Yorker, but you have to be in another city, Chicago."
New York. I might consider that.
You might
I
consider that.
like New York a lot. I like London a lot. But I like living here. I mean, the air is clean, the values are good, and all that stuff.
Yeah,
right?
I do too.
Right.
And the people.
But also, one thing about writing is it's utterly portable. You can do
Yes,
it
you can do
anywhere.
it
I mean,
anywhere.
I
It's
can
always-
write a nonfiction book on the subjects that I'm interested in writing about anywhere in
anywhere.
the world. I mean, I take it with me to the Newberry's snack bar to work on.
Anywhere.
You know, so a real class
My
act.
boss is
Yeah.
upstairs at Newberry's, so it's all the same. It's all
You know,
the
so
same.
it's you know, my workplace is here.
Exactly.
So
You, I know, have had offers to work television in other cities.
Yes, I have.
You never went to another station and worked another bigger market, larger market.
I considered it. I considered 2 or 3 of them, seriously. But in the end, I decided against it because I have a 7-year-old daughter. And this is the place I have chosen to raise her. I love this city. I think the city does not. I really think I'm going to do a column on this.
No,
Nobody
yes, I
steal
think you
this.
should.
I
This is gonna be a
think
column.
Portland
You'll
has
hear it
all
first.
kinds of interesting complexes.
Oh, it is.
And an inferiority complex is one of them. I mean, there are tons of people in the city who think we can't do that. We're just Portland.
Exactly.
Remember before Max began and everyone was saying,
Oh,
it's
no one will ride it.
It'll cost us millions. The bus fares will go up to pay for it. And of course, it's been a tremendous
success.
The Performing Arts Center is another example. People, we got it built. It's gorgeous. And before it opens, people are saying, we can't afford to run it. We don't know how to do this. Who do we think we are, Seattle? And the fact is, we could do anything, but we just have a real negative attitude. And I want to get some psychologists together and have them analyze this city.
There are more. In our business, in my business, and in your business, we travel. Every time we have a chance, we're somewhere, we're traveling. And I find Portland more cosmopolitan than New York City.
You know who says
Absolutely
that over
more
and over?
cosmopolitan than New York City.
People who travel and people who come here from other places are amazed at what we have.
Exactly.
But people who live here don't think it's much.
I know, and I don't
As
know.
opposed to other cities where people wave flags and, hey, we're the greatest city in the nation. You know, and visitors come and go, oh, yeah? It's the opposite here.
Do you find this the same way? In Portland?
Absolutely.
We go, people in New York live on one block. They never go theater.
They never
We
move
go
out
to
of their
theater.
zip code.
They never go out of their zip code, that's right.
Well, they have an Islanders mentality. You know, they think, I mean, people who leave New York never really leave New York. There's no such thing as an ex-New Yorker. People who leave New York spend the rest of their lives trying to find a bagel. You know?
And the right kind of onion soup.
And every time,
The right kind of
I mean,
onion
they
soup.
say things like, you call this pizza?
Oh, I know.
All this
Have
bagel?
you ever been in New York and seen the
yeah,
dried up
many
pizza
times.
that's sitting there waiting for you that's so cold you couldn't? Yeah, but that's still New York pizza. I know it's the same. It's the same thing. Where we are is where it's at. And God knows when you have this image and and you can prance around Portland, Oregon, and do and invited to as many things as I'm invited to. And having wonderful guests like you folks come on the stage, and our shows are building, and wonderful audiences that come back to see us over and over again. And where could I could be a better testament for that. Portland is cosmopolitan. It's so cosmopolitan you can't stand it. We have people come in, they bring their guests in from New York City, say, look what we have in Portland. They don't have shows like ours in New York City.
Really?
No, not ongoing shows.
Well, there are drag shows all
But they're
over the
not
world, but there's
ongoing
nothing.
shows.
But there's nothing like this place. You know, there are very few places. There are very few places in Portland that have a live show where you can sit and have a drink and you're allowed to chat while you're watching the show. I mean, there's good theater, good jazz, all kinds of stuff. But this is like a really terrific
And now
club.
we did a commercial for Darcelle
Yeah,
15
yeah,
Company.
yeah.
Now, are there any questions? I think we have a few minutes. Are there any questions of our guests? Anybody like to ask a question of our guests? We would be more than happy, and they would answer.
We always used to plan them.
Well, did you really?
Sure.
All those things up there, and you just planned them?
Yeah.
Oh, my last
You can always
television.
tell when
Oh.
the guest says,
So I
good
feel.
question. That means it's been lifted from page 62 of their book.
I would never think that you did that. Well, you did it well.
Well, it's necessary because people are shy at first. You know, there are probably 5, 6 people out here dying to ask a question, but they don't want to be the first one.
Oh, go on.
All right.
See?
You have to get to the microphone, darling. Come to the microphone. I didn't know you planned. Did you know that they planned the questions?
I was
Not
one of
all
the
of them.
planted. She planted one on me once.
Just
Did
to get
she?
the ball rolling, because nobody wants to be first.
Oh, that's right. But this lady, come on, stand right there.
Okay. I'd just like to know why you decided to leave TV.
Why I decided to leave TV? Because the Oregonian approached me and offered me a job, offered me an opportunity to write a column, which was something I had always wanted to do. I've always loved to write, I've just never done it for a living. And it was something I wanted to do more than the other opportunities that were being offered me at the time. In fact, it's something I want to do more than anything else I can think of. And I'm very happy being given this opportunity.
So another question, good. Did they start asking you that after? Should I say? Sure, your show was canceled. 2 at 4 was canceled.
Oh, yeah, we were canceled to make room for the Oprah Winfrey Show.
Which is dreadful.
Frankly,
She's horrible with her new hairdo and her makeup.
I like her.
I love her show, but I think she looks terrible.
I think it was a great business decision, and if I were the managers of Channel 2, I would have done exactly the same thing. I bear no malice to them whatsoever.
No, of course not.
for
No,
doing
we know
My
that.
gosh.
Except that she should be on at a different time because I loved watching her at 9 o'clock in the morning. I didn't care what channel it was. And I never watch her now.
Huh.
But I watch 2 at 4. Yes, question.
Margie, I just want to say that it was such a pleasure being on your show when you were at 2 at 4.
Thank
And
you.
we missed you very much, seeing you in person all the time.
Well, thank you.
And I want to applaud all of you because you've been wonderful. And knowing that I just moved here from New York after 44 years in New York, I believe the same way about Portland. Portland's a wonderful city to bring up children, and it's a wonderful place to live. I just returned from to New York, and I know how wonderful it is to get back to clean air. I was away for 3 months.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have wonderful artists here.
The what?
We have wonderful artists here. There are more talented
Absolutely
people.
more. time has come. This is more exciting than I can tell you. We've got to do it again. Good luck in your show. Are you still running
Little
Shop of Horrors?
Runs through November and maybe extended if we sell tickets at the Portland Civic Theater.
At Portland Civic Theater.
226-3048 for tickets.
And you play Audrey.
Ludgemy, the cheap,
Trashy blonde. Trashy blonde. Susan, thank you very much. Write your 2 novels and keep up the wonderful things you do in This Week and all the cover stories. They're great. Jenny, thank you, darling, for joining us, and keep the movers and doers working. Ladies and gentlemen, give them a round of applause now. Thank you very much, our guest for this evening. Join us next week, ladies and gentlemen, join us next week with new celebrities, known and unknown. That's what we try to do here at Darcelle 15 and Company. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the first things we do at Darcelle 15 is we learn to laugh at ourselves, and then we can laugh at everybody else. And until we meet again, please take the time to make somebody happy. Thank you and good evening. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, darling.
I got this for long.
Darcelle 15 and Company.